Hello everybody and welcome to the first of many, I would imagine, of the 2023 British Touring Car race reviews that we are doing for the season. With me is my good friend Ben. Say hello.
Hello.
So, first round at Donington Park, and what a season opener we got. Fair to say that me and Ben both enjoyed our time despite the weather saying otherwise, but yeah, we got to actually meet up. There should be some pictures on screen as I'm talking about it. Also, apologies for the interesting racing, shall we say, as the background footage. Hopefully you guys like that. Yeah, fair to say that we had some pretty good racing from all disciplines. British Touring Car was the main event we was there for, and what we're mainly going to be talking about. But yeah, fair to say that the other racing series, so the Porsche Carrera Cup of Great Britain, the Porsche Sprint Cup, the British Formula 4 Championship, and the mini challenges, all had some fantastic racing. Mainly because of the fact, I think it was a race, just because it was a wet track, but there was some pretty good action, including a wheel-to-wheel battle which lasted for a full 2 laps, with 2 drivers going wheel-to-wheel in one of the latter British F4 races on the Sunday. But let's jump into qualifying. So qualifying saw the top 10 showdown qualifying format, which is going to be shown at 5 of the 10 race meetings this season. There was a fair few lap times deleted in this session for track limits, including laps from Jake Hill, Ash Sutton, and a few others. There was a red flag which ended the session with 41 seconds left on the clock, which was due to Nick Halstead going off in the Accelerate Hyundai. The top 10 showdown provided a pretty close session though, and drama as several drivers lost their laps, again including Ash Sutton, who lost a great lap early on, which was a 107.486. That time is going to be significant, we'll get to that in a second. At the head of the field though, it was Dan Rowbottom on his debut for Napa Racing UK, who took pole position with a 107.598. However, it didn't look set until the very end when car after car came across the line, set better lap times, and a great lap from Sutton making it to second with a final lap shocker in the session. The top 3 were within a tenth of a second. Reigning champion Tom Ingram qualified in 6th behind 3 of the Napa cars and both the BMWs of Turkington and Hill, meaning he had a lot to do on race day. And Andrew Watson did quite well in his touring car debut, qualifying 9th. Which is a great result given it was his first ever qualifying session. So your pole time for Dan Rowbottom was a 107.598, from Ash Sutton, who was 41 thousandths of a second behind him, and Hill, who was a full tenth of a second behind Rowbottom. Moving into race 1. Race 1 started with a bang as Jake Hill got squeezed between the 2 Napa Fords of Sutton and Rowbottom, which put Sutton onto the grass and dropped him down the order. This handed Jake Hill the lead and put Sutton out after only 1 lap due to an overheating radiator on his car. Turkington got forced to take to the gravel after being forced wide by Ingram. Chilton also went off the track and dropped down the order. Later in the race, on lap 4, we saw Nick Halstead go off into the gravel and this brought out the safety car. Just before they hit the timing beam though, Josh Cup did manage to get past Nick Hamilton for 21st after he dropped down the order early on as well. Andrew Watson managed to get past Morgan for 6th on lap 4 as well. And we managed to see George Gamble, who got past Ronan Pearson for 9th on the restart. However, things got worse for Pearson as he went off the road into the gravel, which dropped him down the order. Watson continued to climb the order by taking 5th from Collard, with Morgan also getting past Collard at the end of lap 10 as well. Both BMWs of Turkington and Jelly went into battle with for 12th place, with some great side-by-side action going down the back and main straights on lap 13 and lap 14 respectively. Andrew Watson continued his climb by taking Dan Rowbottom for 4th place at the end of lap 14. Lap 15 saw both Dan Lloyd and Stephen Jelly go off and drop down the order. Turkington did manage to regain some of the positions he lost by passing Josh Cook for 11th place on lap 16. However, on the following lap, he lost the position as a feisty Josh Cook regained the position from him. Lap 18 saw Tom Chilton put a feisty move on Bobby Thompson to take 16th place. Lap 19 though was the decisive lap in this race as Dan Camish took the lead from Jake Hill as he went side by side with him through the centre curves in a well-timed cutback to secure the race lead. In the end, it was Dan Camish who took the first race win of the year from Jake Hill and Tom Ingram, who rounded out the podium and was separated by less than a tenth of a second. So your race 1 results were Dan Camish was your race winner, who along with that took the fastest lap. Jake Hill rounded out second along with Tom Ingram in third. Then we had Andrew Watson with a great debut in 4th place, ahead of Dan Rowbottom in 5th, Ricky Collard in 6th, Adam Morgan in 7th, George Gamble in 8th, ahead of Josh Cook in 9th, and Aaron Taylor-Smith rounding out the top 10. Over to you for race 2, Ben.
Yeah, so race 2 was very interesting, to say the least. It was really hectic. So if I missed anything, I do apologise to everyone. Anyway, before the start of the race, the action was already getting going by the fact that Jake Hill got a penalty for causing Ash Sutton to run wide at the start of race 1. So he keeps the hybrid amount he would have got from finishing second in the first race. But he is way down the grid at the start, so this will not help his advances, I would say. Could be something to watch out for, but it's going to be interesting and a struggle for him, to say the least. Anyway, just before the race started, it was already raining. It wasn't too heavy, but this made the track quite greasy. So a couple of drivers, they all went round, they did a couple of laps, and there was only one or two who decided to go on wets at this point in the race, and it was Nick Hamilton, Jade Edwards, and I'm pretty sure I saw a Toyota at some point. And Jack Butel both ended up having problems, so he was in, Jade Edwards was in with problems. Adam Morgan came in after they'd done the safety car lap. That was when a Toyota driver came in, and Ronan Pearson, they all went in the pits to come for wets. Basically at this point, if I mention anyone's gone in the pits, it's to put wets on. So after a great start, everybody managed to get round the first corner, and then midway through the lap, Moffat spun because I think he'd been tapped by someone. So this is towards the end of the first lap. He managed to get back on, which was really good, nice to see. And then not long after this, you soon see that Collard has really big damage on the front of his car, and he's stranded in the circuit. He gets out of the car, slamming the door and looking very livid, like he's not happy. This brings out the safety car because the car's stuck there. Not long after this, Sam Osborne and Moffat pit. On lap 3, Morgan and Hamilton are 14th and 15th after pitting for wets at the start of the race, while Butcher, Howell and Dobble then pit. Butcher and Dobble lost a lap with pitting, while the safety car then comes in at the end of lap 6. Morgan and Hamilton start going up further and further, bit by bit. They get up to 13th and 14th as they're going along. They both start carving through the field now, and it's quite good to see as soon as everything's back on. And Hamilton basically follows Morgan round. Turkington, Thompson then pit as well. On lap 8, Chilton sets up to first with some great clean drivers. Really good to see. He just got up there. Clearly the wets were coming on to him at that point, and everybody who was on the slicks, it just wasn't, because it was getting wetter and wetter out there. Morgan is then up to second as well, with Ronan Pearson in 4th and Hamilton in 6th. On lap 9, Camish just starts losing place after place after place. You can just see him, he's losing a place near enough every other corner, and it's getting very wet now. At this point, it's a full wet race, and everyone's got the wipers on. You can barely see. It looks like the fog's rolled in, but it's raining that hard. Everyone on the slicks now, you can just see them just dropping down drastically. On lap 11, everyone in the top 7 is on wets at this point, as Camish, Hill and Watson all pit, and they come down a lap down. So at this point the field is very divided, with depending on who put the wets on when. On lap 12, Hamilton is in 4th and under some quite hard pressure from Osborne. You get to see the two of them start going back at each other, and it's quite good to see. Jelly and Dobble as well are also not far into it. Hamilton then goes wide on the grass at the end of the lap and loses a good few places, but it puts him in 6th, still doing well. On lap 20, Chilton catches up to Ingram and Rowbottom as they are fighting for 11th. Hamilton then passed by Dobble and then manages to gain it back to keep sixth. Them two just really have a really good battle going on. It's great to see that Hamilton did not want to give up any of them positions. He was really going for it. It was brilliant to see that battle going on. On the last lap, Chilton follows Rowbottom and Ingram, flashing his lights as he then goes to get the win. Hamilton loses sixth into the chicane and then manages to get over, which is great to see, where he ends up finishing seventh. He still gets that, and it's a career win for him, like best career win of where he's got so far ever. It's really great to see. So, race 2 results is, your winner is Tom Chilton, second is Morgan, third is Osborne, fourth is Jelly, fifth is Dobble, sixth is Hamilton, seventh is Halstead, 8th is Turkington, 9th is Ingram, also with the fastest lap once his wets kicked in, 10th is Thompson. The reason why this is different to what you would have seen if you watched it live is we found out a bit after the race that Ronan Pearson got disqualified for the ride height infringement, which was sad because he originally finished in 3rd, which would have been amazing. Over to you for race 3, Brad.
Thanks, Ben. So, race 3, with it being a greasy track once again, we saw a very flip-flop of a race, with both BMWs jumping ahead of several cars at the start. There was contact further back with Mikey Dobble and Nick Halstead, which put Nick Halstead out of the race and brought out the safety car straight away. On the restart, we saw Adam Morgan hit a curb which spun him round twice and took Sam Osborne with him, which also dropped Osborne down the order. Up ahead, Rowbottom, Thompson and Turkington all scrapped for 3rd place, with Thompson putting a move on Rowbottom to move into 4th place, with Rowbottom not being able to slow down in time and dropping behind Aidan Moffat when he rejoined in 12th place. Nick Hamilton and Rory Butcher went off at the bottom of the Senna S's due to Butcher trying to put a move on him and failing on lap 6. The safety car came out again after Sam Osborne pitted and had to stop after the end of the pit lane, meaning he was a hazard to anyone on the track. Ash Sutton continued his charge after his race 1 retirement and moved ahead of Chilton for 6th place after starting 15th. He then moved ahead of Jelly for 5th 1 lap later. Chilton tried to make a move on Jelly himself, however this opened the door for Hill to get past him on lap 9 for 7th place. Sutton and Hill made their moves again 1 lap later, with Sutton getting past Thompson and Hill moving past Jelly to move up into 4th and 6th place respectively. Josh Cook and Dan Lloyd went head to head on lap 11, with Rowbottom getting past Lloyd and Moffat making Lloyd's day worse by demoting him to 12th in a flash. Aaron Taylor-Smith got ahead of Aidan Moffat for 11th on lap 13. However, things got worse for the Scotsman as Watson took him only a few corners later. Meanwhile, back at the front, Turkington piled on the pressure against Ingram, with Sutton waiting in the wings, and Hill also doing the same thing to Sutton as well, meaning it was a 4-way scrap for second, which was cracking stuff. With all this going on behind him, it meant that Dan Camish could extend his lead at the front of the pack. Jade Edwards' day got worse and worse, with the car losing power and retiring on lap 17, rounding out a terrible day for her. On lap 19, we saw Ash Sutton and Jake Hill take on Turkington for 3rd place, with Sutton taking Turkington coming onto the back straight and Hill taking Turkington at the hairpin. Meanwhile, further back, Jelly had a spin, rounding out a terrible race for him. Further back than that, we saw Dan Rowbottom versus the 2 Vauxhalls of Watson and Aaron Taylor-Smith, with him losing a place to Aaron Taylor-Smith with a lap to go. Ash Sutton tried everything to get past Ingram on the last lap. However, up at the front, it was Dan Camish who took his 2nd win of the day and really stomping his mark on Donington Park, something that actually rhymes, with Tom Ingram and Sutton rounding out the podium. So your race 3 results are Dan Camish was your race winner ahead of Tom Ingram, Ash Sutton, who round out the podium. Then we had Jake Hill in 4th, Turkington in 5th, Thompson 6th, Josh Cook in 7th, Tom Chilton in 8th, Aaron Taylor-Smith in 9th, and Dan Rowbottom in 10th. So, after all of the commotion of Donington Park, here's how your top 10 look for the driver's standings. So Dan Camish leads the way with 48 points, ahead of Tom Ingram on 41. 10 behind him is Jake Hill in 3rd on 31 points, ahead of Tom Chilton on 30. Then we have Adam Morgan on 26, with Turkington and Dan Rowbottom tied on 23 points apiece in 6th and 7th respectively. Then we have Andrew Watson in 8th with 17 points, and tied for points for 9th place is Ash Sutton and Bobby Thompson, with 16 points each. So Ben, who were your winners from this weekend?
My winners were, I would say, especially my biggest one was the engineers on lap 2 and race engineers or driver, whoever decided to get on wets very early. Like the ones like Nick Hamilton, Chilton, Morgan, all them sort of people where they was on wets early enough where it actually counted for them to just carve through the field. And then by the time everybody realised they should have been on wets, most of them ended up being a lap down. So I'd say the engineers or the drivers who decided that in race 2 were my winners of the weekend, as well as Nick Hamilton, Dan Cam, especially as well. Just like Nick Hamilton was just amazing for how well he did in race 2. At one point, he was actually leading the drivers standing on points over Ash Sutton because of race 2, which is quite interesting its own thought as well.
Yeah, I think with my personal favourites are probably Andrew Watson and Ronan Pearson, who both made the debuts in the BTCC, and to get 4th place in the first race, to finish behind best of the rest, Pearson doing the same, getting 3rd in his only 2nd race, but obviously got disqualified, but definitely ones to watch for the rest of the season, hopefully. I'm definitely going to give a mention here to somebody in particular. That person in particular is Tom Chilton. So coming into this race, he hadn't won a race for, I think it was 3 years or 4 years.
4 years,
it was
2019.
Croft 2019 was the last time he won. And we met him before, didn't we? Before the weekend, not before the weekend, before the races started on the Sunday. And he seemed in very high spirits and things like that. So it was great to see him get a win, because he's been, let's be fair, in the last couple of years, he sort of struggled, Chilton, being honest. And to see him back at the front again, I mean, granted, he might not get another win all season, but he can still take something away from this weekend. Like, yeah, he might be 11 points behind Ingram in the championship, but I'm sure getting a win means more to him than anything else. So, my props this weekend, definitely Chilton, along with, obviously, Dan Cam, Nick Hamilton, like I said, maybe Adam Morgan as well on his debut for WSR. Didn't do too bad getting a podium in that chaotic race in race 2, so yeah, I think that pretty much rounds out our review here for Donington Park. There was probably a lot more action that we may have missed, but from where we were sat at the side of the track just after the first corner, we thoroughly enjoyed it. Yes, the weather was crap, but it's Britain. What can you do with the wet weather? Thoroughly speaking, this season started off with a bang. Long may it continue, and who can stop Dan Camish? Who knows? We'll find out at Brands Hatch. On that note, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed our first race review of the year. Let us know what your thoughts were on this weekend's racing down in the comments section below. We look forward to hearing what you guys thought and who you thought were the winners from this weekend. And if you were there, what did you think? Did you love the race and did you not like it? Let us know. And until the next time, we will catch you for the next race at Brands Hatch Indy in a couple of weeks' time. So hopefully we'll see you there. From myself and from Ben, thanks for watching, and of course, as always, ta-ra.
Bye.